All right, I'm going to take y'all down a little history lesson and share with you some of the best things that I've learned in terms of how to rewire yourself from feeling introverted, or even if at times you're like, oh, I'm an introvert, and people will justify it, say, oh, introversion's a superpower and stuff like that. Let me give y'all a little backstory on myself, as well as how I overcame the label and the fake idea of being a introvert, okay? So here, first and foremost, right, let's just be clear, right? Introvert, or a person who has let's call it a tendency to think that they're an introvert or an extrovert. Either way, stop labeling yourself first off, right? You're just feeding into some idea that your mind and the world has given to you, and that is a limitation like beyond what you can even imagine right now. But I remember, okay, this is back when I was living in Boston. This is in like 2015, 2016. And I remember I was struggling big time, right? I just moved to Boston. I had got a job at a startup company. Didn't really like it. It was like a lot. I was just overwhelmed. And then on the weekends, right, I would like have the chance to like go out and meet people and go network and stuff like that. But I could talk myself out of it and I would justify it. Right? Who can relate to this? Of you have a long week, right? And you're stressed and all that stuff. And then the weekend rolls around and then it's like, you could go out and like, you could do more things and you could be more, all that stuff. But then that voice in your head talks you out of it. It's like, how about you stay in tonight? Like recharge, like just watch Netflix or whatever. Right? And that was me. And I did not even realize how selfish that was. It's so selfish, but it's like we're living in such a stupid like cupcake type world where everyone's like, oh, honor your feelings, and if you feel this way then you're entitled to it and whatever. It's like, no, reality doesn't care about your feelings. Like reality and your goals in this life that you can actually create for yourself, your feelings are kind of irrelevant to it. Like, of course, yes, if you're totally depressed and you feel shitty all the time, or you're really happy and outgoing and excited, yes, that's going to have an effect on you. But why are you going to let your feelings dictate your life? How about you dictate your life? Or are you just a bunch of feelings? So what I wish I would have heard back then for myself is what's in this video, right? One, I wish someone would have just smacked me, been like, hey, stop fucking complaining. Your life is actually awesome. You're around a bunch of people. You're just in your mind trying to feel special. And so for anyone who's introverted and you feel justified in being introverted, guess what? Stop being so selfish, because you have some amazing parts of you that you can share with other people. Maybe you don't know how to do it, and that's fine. But don't just resign yourself to say, oh, I have the label of introvert and wear it on my forehead and I'm, that's just me. Granted, yes, there is something to self-awareness. For all you who get triggered by this and you're gonna be like, well, no, I'm actually introverted and that's how I recharge my energy or whatever. Okay, yeah, you gotta have self-awareness and realize, hey, maybe you do have introvert tendencies, and throughout your life, you find that you are more at peace when you're alone, or you get recharged when you're alone compared to being out with people. But guess what? What if the most amazing thing in your life that's going to make you feel awesome and have you actually like have an amazing life that influences other people in a good way? What if that is actually the opposite one, where you're like actually extroverted and you can develop that ability in your life to actually find the greatest joy out of like going and meeting people and talking to people and getting outside your comfort zone? And you accepting that belief of saying, I'm an introvert, oh, poor me, or, oh, I'm an introvert and it's great. Whatever your justification is, consider just do the opposite, because that's actually probably what's going to help you have a way more amazing life. Or for those of you who watch this video and you're like, oh, I'm actually kind of extroverted. I like to go talk to people. It fills me up. Guess what? Maybe you'll find some benefit in sitting with yourself and just hearing your thoughts. Because maybe you hang out with other people and you do all that to numb yourself and distract yourself from your own thoughts, okay? So my point is, whether you have introvert or extrovert or whatever, it's kind of irrelevant, because what actually makes sense is that you set up your day so that you have moments where you can just be with yourself and listen to yourself and process what's going on the inside. Kind of like a computer. Every once in a while, you got to look at all the files and realize, whoa, there's a bunch of stuff on here. I got to clean this up. I got to go through and defrag my computer and do a virus remover and clean up and throw stuff in the trash and get it out. There's a time and place for that. And you should get really damn good at that. Because when you can do that and you can get your mind reprogrammed, that's amazing. Because then you actually enjoy being with yourself. You're actually like, oh, I'm kind of a cool person. This is fun. Great. But then you're like, oh, well, I shouldn't just share this with myself. I should go out there in the world Okay? And then there's another time and place to then go be an extrovert. And then you can go talk to people and you can go influence people. Because guess what the world needs more of? People with real principles who actually care and are standing up with real solutions in the world to actually go out and go influence people. And people have this programming around, oh, don't influence people, that's bad. Or don't try and persuade people, or let people just be. No, don't let just people be. That would be like you're watching a thousand sheep, a flock of sheep, walking towards a cliff. And they're gonna walk towards the cliff and fall off the freaking cliff. And you're like, oh, just let them be. Let them have their own life. It's like, if you can see that there's a cliff, it's your freaking responsibility to go redirect them, okay? And if you're like, well, yeah, but like I'm an introvert and I just should let someone else do it, like, then you're the problem, okay? I'm not saying that if you're an introvert, just feel bad and turn off the video. I'm not saying that. I'm inviting you from one former introvert to you to say, look, stop accepting limitations. There's so much more you can do. So what did I start to do that helped me to stop being an introvert? Because when I was back living in Boston, I was struggling. And on the weekends, I was like, this sucks. And I was like depressed and I had like suicidal thoughts and stuff. Because I was like, this is not pleasant. Like, I don't like this. Even though I should, on the surface, I have this amazing life, right? I'm like starting to get into entrepreneurship. I'm starting to meet cool people. But then on the weekends and at night and whatever, I'm like, I'm so depressed. My relationships are not what I want them to be. My bank account is not what I want it to be. I just feel overwhelmed. I'm like searching and searching and searching. How did I pull myself out of that? Well, a few things. One is I had to learn, stop listening to that voice in my head and the feelings that are like, oh, just don't do that. As soon as I started realizing that what that voice was doing, I started to realize, what if I just did the opposite? So then like when I would want to just stay in at night and watch Netflix, I was like, you know what? Let me just go out and just meet like 3 people. And I would resist it. I'm like, oh, this sucks. I don't want to do it. Then I ended up actually making some pretty cool friends. And then over time, I started to then get access to new groups of people, new opportunities. I ended up launching a business. That business didn't do very well, but guess what? It forced me to get outside my comfort zone. I was then getting on phone calls with people, sales calls. I was going to networking events. And that was the beginning through that adversity, the inner adversity, to then go out into the real world and then face real adversity. That started to help me strengthen. It's like when you go to the gym. It doesn't feel good. There's a burn and it sucks. But then guess what? You get a little bit stronger and a little bit stronger. And then thankfully, that all led me to then the real things that actually helped me change. And that was at one business conference. I found some amazing training. I found some amazing technology. I found an amazing group of people with real principles, actually the best group of people I've ever found. And they helped me really start to see, look, you want to change that stuff in your mind? It's in there for a reason. It's buried in your unconscious mind. You still, on some level, are accepting you're an introvert, or you're accepting you have introvert tendencies. You want to rewire that for good, so those thoughts never come up again. I was like, ooh, yeah, I want to do that. Okay, cool. That's now what I work on. And that's been for the past 3 years. And I have never, ever had it cross in my mind now that I'm an introvert. It's like, no, I'm just me. I just go crush it. And yeah, some days are better than others, right? Some days are worse than others, but I don't care. It's like, I know what I'm here to do, and I'm going to do it until the job gets done. And that is far better than ever giving yourself this label of I'm an introvert or extrovert or whatever. And this is how I recharge and get my energy back. It's like, how about you just recharge with every single breath and in every single moment? And yeah, from time to time, you watch a YouTube video or you watch a training or you read a book or whatever. Cool. But now, like, let's actually use this one life that you have, this precious life, and make your reality awesome. And the reality for everybody awesome. That's what we're here to do. So for those of you who can hear through this and didn't just get triggered and turn the video off right away, reach out. Let's connect. I can show you how, if you have those thoughts, which I know you do, of those, I'm like this, blah, 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 the stuff from the past, I can show you how to literally delete it and replace it with something that's actually empowering, so you can now actually go do amazing things in your life. Because even if it's not for you, do it for the people you care about. Do it for the people who care about you. Do it for other people. All right? Find whatever that motivation is to actually reach out and get the support, and then let's keep building. All right. See ya.